People who can express themselves clearly and make themselves understood whenever you open your mouth. How the hell do you do that? I was going to say make sure you use the right words, but actually it's make sure you use the right words for the right audience. Not everyone is at the same level of comprehension, so knowing what works for who is one huge hurdle to get over first. Not only words, but the complexity as well. You can dumb things down, but your conversation partner can't just become more intelligent educated. I'm better at expressing how I feel now than when I was younger. For me personally, formal higher education actually helped a lot. Spending multiple hours a day hearing other people discuss and express relatively complex thoughts made it easier to find ways to express my own thoughts. I find that listening to well-researched podcasts made by intelligent people achieve the same thing. I'm Looking at You, This American Life, Freakonomics, and Radiolab among others. I would also like to plug Planet Money. Very intelligent discourse. Do you listen to Marketplace? It's like Planet Money meets the Daily News. Indeed, I partake of Kai Ryssdal and his antics. We'll have the full story for you when we do the numbers. I can hear his voice now. The financial pun always gets me too. He always talks about stocks with vocabulary relevant to the company. Ben's baking rose to 2%, Ford drove higher, Clorox scrubbed its way to 5%. I've never paid attention to the puns before. Thank you for pointing this out. Practice. Arguments help as well. Debating skills are actually quite useful in being able to articulate what you're feeling into actual words. It's not uncommon for even well-spoken people to fall apart when they are under pressure. They can think of what to say before and after, but when they're under the gun they can't spit it out. Practice makes perfect. Years of training with shampoos not wasted. Conditioner is better. I leave the hair silky and smooth. Shampoo is better, I go on first and clean the hair. Stop looking at me, Swan. It's too hot out here for a penguin. It's Nudie Magazine Day. Don't put it out with your boots. He called the shit poop. Read. A lot. It gives people a much better command of language, and a broader library of ideas to draw from when expressing their own thoughts. On the other hand, as Steve Martin said, some people have a way with words. Other people not have way. Reading helps, but there's an auditory component that's important. Most people talk too fast. They talk faster than they think. I'd say listen to baseball commentary for great examples of people who speak. Also, don't rehearse in your head. Have a bullet point. You're more likely to trip up if you had exact phrasing mapped out in your head. Don't talk too fast, don't talk too much. My old professor said this about speech: succinctness is a virtue. Convey your idea with few words, and the listener will be more agreeable. If you can convey your idea while also using low mid-level vocabulary, even better. The listener won't feel like you're talking down to them with academic words or with baby words. Explain something the way you would want it explained to you. Edit. Yes, of course, you have to give leeway for you knowing more than the others. It is also more along the lines putting yourself in the other person's shoes and then looking at the question retrospectively. The idea will not be to blow your own horn, but to help someone else understand in a way that you would want to understand. Were you at the stage they are at? Learn how to listen. I forget where I read it, but I've got this written on a post-it note on my desk. Change the way I interact with others, listen with the intent to understand, not respond. How to Win Friends and Influence People, by Dale Carnegie. Moreover, how can you not cry when you argue? It's a mindset. You are not arguing against the other person, both of you are having a discussion about a topic. You are not under attack. Even if it's about a behavior of yours, it's not about you as a person, the behavior you displayed is the topic. There's no need to feel attacked, and therefore there's no need to cry. If someone actually attacks you as a person, don't argue. You can't win. If someone actually attacks you as a person, don't argue. You can't win. This is a golden advice. Let other people defend you, not yourself. It's way more effective. Oh my God, the best thing ever is when someone defends you in front of someone else who is talking you down. Some people at work have done that for me and I want to marry them and live in a big house with several husbands. but SRS it's like a really nice thing to do. Read a lot, especially nonfiction. No one is born articulate. As with everything, you learn from seeing good examples of other people explaining themselves clearly. Bad examples also help you see what not to do. We've all read muddled articles, and had that one professor who can speak for an hour and not get a single point across. Can you recommend some of non-fiction books? Edit. Thanks everyone for suggestions. I'll try to check them all. Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. I am introvert, tried to force myself to be extrovert. Didn't work. So after some time I realized few things, I can take time to collect my thoughts and answer as clearly as I want can. Less words are always better. If they convey the message clearly, this is very easy mindset to get into. It also doesn't drain me because this is how I am. In my career I have always been offered management leading role very early, and I think this is the reason why. My answers and directions make sense, are easy to understand and easy to follow, according to my boss's coworkers. Less words are always better. If they convey the message clearly, do you mean why waste time say lot word when less word do trick? Why? If you make a habit of typing clearly, eloquently, and with proper grammar, it will influence the way you think. If you type like every letter is a Herculean effort, and your life depends on sending that text quickly, then that's how you will express yourself generally as well. Review everything you write, edit it, and don't hit send or post until it says exactly what you mean. I guarantee that will make speaking eloquently much easier, as you will become used to forming crisp, clear thoughts. You'll also find yourself stopping and considering what you're about to say before you say it. Also super helpful. Think before you speak. One of the greatest things I learned as an adult is that it's okay for you to take a second to gather your thoughts before answering. For some reason, as kids we're taught, either explicitly or implicitly, to answer immediately when questioned. I used to do that all the time, and I would almost always stumble with my answers. My mind moves much faster than my mouth. I'm a much better writer than speaker, which compounded the problem. When I first started consciously taking a pause before answering, it felt so awkward. I felt like the other person was judging me or wondering if I had a disorder. Then after doing it a few dozen times, I realized that the other people in the conversation didn't really have any different reaction to me. Now, it's an ingrained habit. You will almost never get an immediate response out of me, even when I already know what my answer is going to be. Become in Dungeons & Dragons DM. You know, I never thought of this. But yay! I can see that. I don't have a dice addiction, I swear I can stop any time. Confidence. Also, I took a public speaking class, but if you're not a confident person, it's hard. I had to work on that first. This for sure. I haven't taken a public speaking course ever, but I've done my fair share of public speaking, starting when I was like 11 in Boy Scouts, and I was always told I needed more confidence in what I'm saying. I've always found that having a vast wealth of knowledge on the subject that you are talking about will help you immensely. If you know what you're talking about, all you need to do is make sure that you're conveying your thoughts in an appropriate manner. Nice and simple. I stuttered a lot when I was younger. I usually think the sentence in my head before saying it. I was badly abused as a child, by my mother, my siblings. I was bullied at school by both kids' teachers. At one point I had almost stopped talking. I was so shy that I would cry if strangers talked to me. I wasn't scared of them, I was scared to speak. I left school at 15, my mother threw me out, I got a job somewhere to live. I swore I would never let anyone bully me into silence again. I put myself through college. One of the subjects that was available along with a unit of corporate law was conflict resolution. I found my voice. I discovered him a feisty one, extremely articulate. Nothing I learned before or since has been more useful. I could mediate a trade union dispute without a hitch. But do you think I could solve a dispute over a toy between my toddlers? Not a snowball's chance in hell. I engage only in subjects I'm familiar with. Keep everything short and direct. I don't know why it's taken so long for someone to say this. All you need to do is say your point and shut up. The longer you keep taking, the weaker your points become, and the higher the likelihood of contradicting yourself and straying from the main most important point, which is the first and only point you say.